Great day, everyone. Jereshia Hawk here. Today is episode 8 of the Jereshia Said show. And we're going to be talking about the deadliest business trap ever for online entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general and what you can be doing to avoid it. So as you're coming in live or catching this in the replay, pop in the comments. Just let me know you're here. I'm interested to know how many of you have had a job before and transitioned into your entrepreneurship. So I'm just curious to know here, who has been an employee of somebody else's before, like in a corporate, more traditional identity. And if you have had an actual job or have come from the corporate world or come from the 9-to-5 world, or come from some sort of that regard and then transition into owning your own business, being self-employed and becoming an entrepreneur, just interested to know if that fits your description. If you had a job and then you transition into entrepreneurship, just pop in the comments and say, yes, that's me. If not, maybe you've always been an entrepreneur and you've never held a traditional job, pop in the comments and say, no, girl, I've always worked for myself. So I'm just curious to know what the dynamic is of the individuals who are on live. Hey, Jordan. Thank you, girl. Hello, Marisol. It's nice to see you live as well. Hey, Tamika, Trevi, Shakitha. You transitioned. Okay, Shakitha. Hello, Jasmine. So let me know in the comments, guys. Are you somebody who transitioned from employee to entrepreneur, or have you always been like self-employed, working for yourself? And I think this is something that I personally have struggled with, and I continue to work through from a mental perspective. It's something I see my clients struggling with time and time again. And honestly, the thing that actually holds people back from taking the next step is all wrapped around the deadliest business trap I think ever. And at least what I know to be true today. And we're going to talk about some different things that we can be doing to actually overcome that. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of people who transitioned. I'm still an employee. Okay. So you're in the transition. And when I say going into entrepreneurship, it's not even meaning that everybody here is meant to or supposed to quit their job and be full-time in their business. But just curious to know where you guys are at. Marisol said transition, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Okay. So as you guys are probably picking up maybe, and I'm curious to know maybe if you guys have any thoughts on what do you think some of the biggest traps are when it comes to being a business owner. But the thing that I have noticed that paralyzes people, that stunts individuals' growths, that really holds people back from fully being able to step into their calling because it fits outside of the norm of what society has taught us, is not knowing how to pivot and adjust, not knowing how to transition from employee to entrepreneur. And this is, I'd say, hands down, one of the biggest, deadliest traps that majority of us fall into, and some of us don't even realize that we're currently in it, is that we're not able to transition from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. And one thing that I wanted to get very clear on here, because I think sometimes we even get this misconstrued in regards to what does it even mean? There's a difference between being an employee, being self-employed, and being an entrepreneur. I think there's 3 different mindsets and 3 different parameters, 3 different identities that exist with each one of those 3 categories. So being an employee, meaning that, and when I say this in the traditional sense of being an employee, is you work for somebody else. You either clock in, have an hourly job, or maybe you have a salary where you're getting paid to do, you're basically getting paid based on the time that you put in. So if I work 40 hours a week, I come home with X amount of dollars per hour. Or maybe you're in a salary position where you have a little bit more flexibility. But honestly, even there, the more you work, the more you don't get paid anymore. So you are employed under somebody else's leadership. Somebody else gave you the job description. Somebody else provided you with the strategy, with the goal. Somebody else told you this is the job that we need you to perform. This is what we're hiring you to perform, and we expect you to deliver on the things that we told you that we needed you to do. That is an employee. Being self-employed here is somebody who has a talent or a skill, and they know there are people who are willing to pay for their time, product, or service, meaning they employ themselves rather than working for someone else. So and I think the trap that comes into with being self-employed, and let me know for those who are self-employed, maybe you're self-employed and an employee at the same time. You're still in your side hustle and you're building your business, or maybe you're full-time in your business, but maybe you're still at the self-employed phase, meaning that, again, you have a skill or a talent that you have, and you know that there are people out there willing to pay for it, and you're positioning yourself to receive that income from somebody else. So you employ yourself. But after a while, you found yourself working too many hours, burning yourself out, and realizing that you've actually just created a glorified job for yourself, even though you work for yourself. So let me know if anybody can identify with that self-employed definition, or at least what we're looking at what that means. And then finally, an entrepreneur is somebody who, or what I like to call like a business owner, a CEO, is somebody who seems to grow their business effortlessly. And I don't mean effortlessly in the sense that like, oh, it just comes easy for them, but that you're seeing them have consistent growth. You're seeing them maintain that steady growth in their business. They're actually really great at strategy. They're really great at mastering at getting others excited about their vision and helping them grow their business. They are in a position where they are employing others, or they're partnering up, or they're building out their team, where they're having other people fuel their vision and pour into what they're doing, and they're able to grow that. I really look at as an entrepreneur, somebody who's really learned how to manage and build that entrepreneurial mindset. Muscle that I think a lot of us are continuously and that's something that's we're ever evolving and continuously going to be developing in. But they learn along the way while bootstrapping and paying themselves first, plan to enroll others into their vision, and create a team that helps them grow. So out of those three definitions, being an employee, self-employed versus being an entrepreneur, I think it's very important for us to understand which one are we currently living, which one are we aspiring to live to, and really what are the challenges and obstacles that we're facing in the midst of whatever season that is. Because I think a lot of us think that, oh, I started a business, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a CEO, without actually in just putting titles on ourselves, which if that makes you feel great, whatever, but putting titles on ourselves without really thinking through what are some of the mindset and emotional hurdles that we have to overcome for us in order for us to truly evolve into that role, into that title. And I'm not throwing shade on anybody here. I think this is something that I currently am still struggling with. Some of the entrepreneurial mindset muscle things that I was just mentioning before that I'm still working through. And so a lot of us, I think, are still continuously, and again, I think it's something we're always going to be working through because we grew up. And I think if you're a millennial, a Gen X, a baby boomer, the system was not designed for us to grow up to be entrepreneurs. The system was not designed for us to be self-employed and like maintaining and managing our own income. If you think about, if you are like 30 plus and 35, over 35 in the young 30s and older, like it was like really drilled into you that you need to go to school, get a good job, get a degree, get a good job, and like you need to work in the system for the next 30 to 40 years for sustainability. And the system was really designed around that. There's pensions that were in place where it gave incentive for you to stay at one company for an extended period of time because you were able to get better benefits when you were able to retire. For those of you guys who graduated when the market crashed in 2008, really what was told to you then, either you're going to be self-employed and you're going to go back home and live with your parents, or you're going to continue on and get another degree. And you end up, and even me, I'm in my late 20s, it's been much ingrained in me that you have to do well in school, go to college, get a bachelor's degree. How many of you guys have heard the bachelor's degree is the new GED? So you really have to get a master's in order for you to really excel in the marketplace. And if you graduated in around 2008 when the market crashed, like really your two options there were like continue on, go pile on more student loan debt, get another degree, or be unemployed, or really struggle trying to find a job in the marketplace because it just didn't exist. And for those of us who are a little bit younger, I think our millennial generation and then Gen Z is really going to be breaking this mindset of one, like how education is even transformed and given to us, but two, the expectations around how much weight and how much I think we put degrees on a pedestal, saying that that's the only way to succeed in America. I think that's why we're seeing such an emergence, I think, in the popularity of entrepreneurship and starting our own business. I think primarily because the system has failed so many of us. So many of us are in a crap load of student loan debt, like myself included. I'm in mid to high 5 figures of student loan debt myself. And I'd say pretty much all of my peers pretty much have student loan debt unless their parents pay for their education. But the vast majority of my friends all have student loan debt. And I think it's because that's just how the system was designed. So now I think a lot of us are starting to understand that, not necessarily lose faith in the system, but see opportunities that the system was not, did not readily show us or was not readily apparent to us as we were growing through, and we're creating our own lanes. And I think the deadliest trap for a lot of us who are stepping into that, transitioning out of what society has deemed the norm in order for us to grow and live a fulfilled life, live the American dream, when we're breaking that mold and switching into this world of entrepreneurship where we're employing ourselves, it's extremely difficult to unlearn everything we've been taught about how to be a good citizen and live the American dream and redefine and recreate that new norm for ourselves. Is this resonating with anybody? I just want to make sure that this is making sense. But I think this is something that so many of us are challenged with, and why a lot of us, and why the clients that I see, and a lot of the potential clients who never end up becoming clients, is because they lack the mindset of how to break through the barriers of what it means to be an employee. And so many people are like, Jay, I have this burning desire. I know that there's something more for me outside of just the traditional role, whether that is just having a side hustle in the sense that you want to know that you can create opportunities for yourself and have a secondary income that you're able to create on your own. Or if you want to also step into full-time entrepreneurship and be fully self-employed and be running and growing a business, regardless of which bucket you fall into, so many people struggle with what am I supposed to do? And I think that's new and normal for any of us. When you're stepping into new territory, it's important for you to get that education to learn how to do it successfully. But so many people are struggling with they want their hands held because that's what the system is designed us to do. If we wanted to go earn $100,000 a year, what do we have to do? You go to school for 4 years, take on student loan debt, or pay for an expensive degree, apply for a job, get a job, and stay in that job for the next how many ever years. But again, you're being told what to do, when to do, how to do it. Somebody else is setting the strategy. Somebody else is creating the goals. Somebody else is telling you what your job responsibility is supposed to be, what you need to do on a daily basis. So when you step out of that environment and try to create something of your own, it's a lot of parameters that you may never have set for yourself before. Meaning, what am I supposed to do on a daily basis to grow my business? How do I define my strategy and my goals short-term and long-term? How am I tracking, managing, and maintaining that I'm actually on the path to what I want to even be building? How do I hire? How do I grow a team? How do I become a better leader? How am I servicing and supporting my clients? Now, all of these questions that were answered to you before, where you played one role in the larger business being an employee, now you're responsible for fulfilling and managing and maintaining all of those roles while growing your business and being profitable and maintaining your sanity. And that is extremely difficult to do on your own. So I just think that that's one of the, again, the biggest traps that so many of us fall into, is not knowing the mindset muscles and the areas in which we need to grow in. Or once we have maintained and realize that self-awareness on, I know that I need to develop in this area, actually equipping ourselves with the right tools to be able to grow beyond it. And I want to talk about some of those mindset hurdles that we fall into and that we struggle with as entrepreneurs, as self-employed individuals, as those who are trying to grow their own business. And just, again, pop in the comments and let me know if you resonate with any of these, okay? So I think first and foremost, one of the mindset, a part of this deadly trap that we fall into, but the mindset issues that we fall into, is that the money fears. And let me know in the comments, do you have any money fears? I think the biggest thing that I'm realizing, especially with Goal Getter Elite, we start next week, which is a high-level mastermind that I run. It's 9 months long, helping existing service-based business owners get to that six-figure level. The biggest thing that I see here is people do not believe, like they have the idea that, yes, I can make six figures in my business, but they do not believe that it's possible for them to an extent. And that's the thing that paralyzes them from ever progressing forward, is the money fears associated and just the money beliefs associated with what's even possible when you're building your own. You know, for me before, like, and for a lot of you, if you guys are in a current job or that's all you've known is working for somebody else, how do you make more money? Like, how do you make more money? You've been given a salary, and most of us have never negotiated, but you've been given some set pay. And the only way you can make more money is by either one, working more hours, in the sense that if you're working hourly, you have that opportunity. If your salary 9 times out of 10, you cannot, if you work more, you're not earning more. You still get the same paycheck every week. From there, you hopefully do well in your year of performance and hopefully get a 2 to 5% pay raise, which really a 2 to 5% pay raise is not going to change the quality of your life. It's like an extra $50 to $100 a month on your paycheck. So what other way can you even make money? And it's like, you know, then you really get caught up into this paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, living on a fixed income. Even though your fixed income might be a decent salary, there's really no opportunity for you to make more money working your existing job. Okay? And for a lot of us, again, it's either you go get a second job, you reduce your expenses so you can have more disposable income. You maybe work additional hours if that's available to you. You might have to switch jobs so you can do some bit of negotiation, but there's really like, those are really the parameters. Whereas when you're building your own business, like people say, one thing I think a lot of us need to think through, and one thing I'm very, very fortunate about the guy that I'm with now, like he's been really instilling in me because he's all about wealth management. And he's like, people look at businesses. Are you building a business to become rich, or are you building a business to become wealthy? And it's like building your own business does give you an opportunity to build wealth, because you're able to develop and grow assets, which eventually can grow and build and compound exponentially. You're able to sell that. You're able to have grow that in a way that you cannot do by having a salary. And it's just like when we think through I guess some of the money beliefs that we have, again, when you're building a business, you get to you have a lot more control over what your income is versus if you just have a salary. I'm not saying you have full control. Loa, no, it's actually a guy I'm dating. Like he's my boyfriend, which is like new to say because it's been 3 days. Ooh, we'll talk about that later. But he's in private equity. He owns his own private equity firm, and he like a genius background in finance, but he always is teaching me about wealth management. And something that he mentioned to me the other day was that like your business is your retirement plan. Like you building your business is that's your gateway to wealth. That is your gateway to like having generational financial impact and change for you. Like I know y'all, I know it's super exciting, but we'll talk about that later. But like your business gives you that opportunity. A salary will never make you wealthy. A salary can make you rich. A salary can help you live a very like fulfilled and like nice lifestyle, but a salary will never make you wealthy. And when we think about the money fears that are associated with building our own business, and then again, this is an entrepreneurial mindset muscle that we all have to grow and develop, is being able to see beyond what we currently know as reality in regards to how much money we're able to receive in this lifetime. And do you guys understand that? Like, so for me, this is something I continuously struggle with, especially at the last quarter of last year, where I was self-sabotaging my own success because I had never made this much money in my life. And I just did not know how to receive it. I was like, there's no way I can sit here and make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in a month, like working half the amount of time I worked in my corporate job. Like that can't be possible. In a business, it is. And because we have a lot more control and freedom over what we do and how we structure our business and how we develop it from a strategic perspective, to now not have to be like, it's a mindset hack and a mindset switch. Exactly, Lola. Like your salary is determined by somebody else. When you are building your own business, like you are the one who sets your salary. Like you have way more control to be able to determine what the financial outcome is going to be for your business. Like, do you guys understand that? So that's something that really prevents, I think, a lot of entrepreneurs from ever earning more, is because they are so fixated on the employee mindset, because that's all we know, that somebody else has to set my salary. Somebody else determines how much money I make. I'm only allowed to make this much. Like if I were making what I'm making now in my corporate job, like that's like executive director level pay. And I know what I'm making this year, that's VP money. You know how long it would have taken me to become an executive director or vice president at my existing company? Like a decade at least. So it's like, and again, that was a belief that I had, that I have to at least put in a decade for me to ever see like multiple six figures. I've done that in less than a year. Like, what? So I just think that's a huge thing. And exactly, well, you will be working like a dog, 60, 70 hours a week, like at least, and like bare minimum. So it's just like, that is a huge thing that blocks and really derails a trap that many of us fall into without ever having the self-awareness around, is the fears and the money stories and the money mindset that we have about what is required to earn, how we can earn, how much we can earn, being able to fully receive. And then it's like, from there, not only what we're able to receive, but understanding that money is a cash flow. It is supposed to come in and go out and come in and go out. I think a lot of us as employee mindset, and this is for me just because of my family upbringing and my background, you know, growing up without my parents, and just growing up, and we were like middle class, but no, everybody lived paycheck to paycheck. If somebody died, ain't nobody have life insurance. So somebody else is footing the bill for the funeral. Money was never passed down from generation to generation in my family. Like we always, and the second somebody got some money, what's the first thing they do? They'd go stunt and they go blow it. And so my thing about my money beliefs was that, like, if I make money and I make good money, I have to hold on to that money for dear life, and I can never let it go, because if I let it go, I'm going to fall into the same money habits that my family and what I'm used to seeing does, meaning that they blow it on dumb things. They're out here buying Mercedes and all these foreign vehicles, but they ain't got $500 in a bank account. Like they got the car in somebody else's name because they credit shot. Like, and I'm not sure if anybody else can identify with this, but a lot of, at least for me, I thought that when I make money, I have to hold on to my money. And which I'm fortunate I'm able to build a really big savings. But at the same time, it's like I'm stunting my own growth because of my mental mindset about how money is supposed to operate. Money is supposed to flow. And this was something that I had to overcome very quickly. I had to overcome this because if you're not allowing your money to work for you, meaning how are you investing back into your business? And I don't just mean pouring your money back into your business, but I mean like how are you like hiring a coach, joining a mastermind, getting continuous education, hiring a team, getting out of, I have to use all these free tools and free software, but actually being able to buy the tools and the software that can work for you, even if it does cost. It's understanding that money is supposed to flow. It is not supposed to come in and halt. And if you are a hoarder of your money, you are really damming you're creating a dam for your river flow. You're never going to experience abundance if you do that. And I think the money mindset piece is in the sense that like what's preventing us from actually receiving and believing that our business can even earn the amount of income beyond what we've ever known or seen potentially in a salary, what we've seen in our families. But two, being able to have the money mindset to know that money flows and that we do have to like get over the money fear of investing in ourselves, investing in our dream, investing in our business. Because people are typically, a lot of us are afraid to pay. So that's a huge one. I wanted to spend some time talking about that. Let me know if this is resonating with anybody else here. I'm seeing a lot of like praise hands. Yes, girl. Nika said, I'm working on this so hard. Mine was opposite. We got it and spent it. Yeah, like Lois. So my family dynamic was both. And that's where I changed. I started hoarding my money. So like the first 3 years when I got out of college, I was making a really, really good salary. I was living like I was poor. Living in an apartment that was $655 a month, 2-bedroom, all the utilities were included. It was a bit rough of a neighborhood, but I'm like, I'm not going to be splurging on rent. Like I was barely buying myself things. Like I was scared to spend money because of what I saw my family doing, because they were the ones, the second they get it, they blow it. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that. But they're both ends of the spectrum. Both extremes can paralyze you in business because money is supposed to flow. It is not supposed to just come in and stop. It's not supposed to just come in and immediately all go, but it's supposed to have a healthy, steady flow of how it fluctuates through your bank account. And yeah, like Lola, being comfortable having money. Like I have never made this much money in my life. And like, if you talk to anybody in my mastermind group, especially if you were rolling with me like last quarter of last year, I talked a lot about this in my Facebook lives, is I was self-sabotaging my own success because I had never experienced, I didn't think I was worthy of receiving this success. Like I didn't know, like who am I to be deserving of experiencing this when I've never witnessed this before? Like, and so money is a huge thing that a lot of us have to continue to work on. And the way that I've been able to work through it is one, like being in a mastermind group with people who like are already have worked through these hurdles, who are a couple steps ahead of me, who are able to help me identify and become self-aware of the limiting beliefs and the mindset issues that I have. So once I'm self-aware, I can start rewiring and rewriting the stories that I've been telling myself all these years. That was a huge, huge thing for me. Marisol said, can you tell us about your story, how you became an online income strategist and left your 9-to-5? Marisol, I did a really extensive Facebook Live on this before, so I'll make sure to tag you in that to go fully in depth because it's a long story, and y'all know I'm long-winded, so we'll be on here another hour talking about that. I think the second one is procrastination. And a lot of us, let me know if anybody here struggles with procrastination. And the reason why I say procrastination, I mean this in the sense of like lack of focus, and in the procrastination in the sense that you can be working hard, but producing poor results. Is anybody aware of this, where you are working hard, but you are producing poor results? And because you lack focus. And again, this goes back to when you are now running your own business. You are the one setting the strategy. You are the one creating the roadmap. You are the one determining what you need to get done on a daily basis and making sure you're doing it in a timely fashion. You are the one that is responsible. And a lot of us have not, like, this is why I think strategy and what I do in my business and really what Goal Getter Elite is all about is to help you have that focus, is to help you overcome those money mindset hurdles, and to make sure that you are not just producing but getting poor results because you lack the focus to know what you should be prioritizing and working on first. Like, and I think a lot of us struggle with that when we are building our own business because we lack that roadmap. We lack the clarity that comes when we have a solid strategy in regards to what it is that we're trying to build and do. So, and again, it's because we've never really had to flex that muscle before. Like if you've been an employee and maybe you weren't at the managerial level, or even if you were at the managerial level, there's still people above you who are giving you guidance, who are telling you what you need to be focused on, who are telling you these are the goals and objectives that we're trying to achieve. They may give you autonomy in how you achieve them, but you know where the aim is. So many of us are in business with no clear aim, or we have clear aim, but we have no idea the roadmap, the pathway, the vehicle that we're supposed to be in to get us to our destination. So that's a huge one that a lot of us struggle with. Okay, and this rolls into my next point of no planning, in the sense that as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is self-employed, as somebody who is building on their own, you need to be thinking about short-term and long-term visions simultaneously. Working for others, you are mainly responsible for ensuring that what needs to be done now is done. As an entrepreneur, you have to project your mind forward, thinking about the potential pitfalls and opportunities that lie around the corner that you may not even see yet, and then making decisions based on uncertainty. I'm going to say that again. As an entrepreneur, it is your responsibility. You have to project your mind forward, thinking about the potential pitfalls and opportunities that lie around the corner and making decisions based on uncertainty. And that requires you to come to terms with the fact that you do what you do or don't do today will have an impact on your business 3 months from now, 5 months from now, 5 years down the line. Everything you do and don't do has an impact. Every choice you make and the choices you don't make, every time you say yes and the times you say no, all that stuff has an impact on the growth of and really you determining your success. But the thing that I want you guys to hear is like making decisions based on uncertainty. You do that constantly in entrepreneurship. And I just want to say, like, this goes into like a third point here. Feeling uncomfortable as an entrepreneur is your new comfort zone. Being uncomfortable is the new comfort zone as in entrepreneurship. Because as an employee, you're used to thinking inside the box. People give you the parameter of what you're supposed to do. They tell you what needs to get done today. You focus on like where you're at and just moving the needle in regards to the pigeonholed viewpoint they've given you, rather than thinking outside of the box. And as an entrepreneur, the thing that you realize is there are no walls. There is no box anymore. And I think that's something that I've really struggled with being able to wrap my mind around, because before, being an engineer, being in a salaried role, working for a company, you work in a box. And these boxes now, you're seeing corporations, they're trying to be more innovative. So people are flexing a little bit from a box to a hexagon. People are, turning into trapezoids. Like, they're getting a little bit more flexible with how they're trying to innovate and how they're trying to grow their business, but there's still walls that you are confined to. As an entrepreneur, all the walls are gone. Like, it's limitless in the opportunities in the way that you do things. You are limitless in the sense of the business model that you can create, the income that you can earn, the impact that you can have. It is limitless. There are no walls anymore. And that is something that like I am still struggling with understanding, that like, because I still see myself, especially right after I quit, I kept trying to put myself in a new box. I kept trying to build walls saying that I have to work this way. I have to operate this way. And this is why, like, even now I've been really trying to break down that mindset in the sense that I don't work on Mondays. Mondays are me days. Why? Because Mondays used to be hell in corporate world. Fridays are catch-up days. So the only 3 days that I work in my business is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Wednesdays are the only days that I do my calls with my coaching clients. But I do that now on a bi-weekly basis. So I'm giving myself space to not only work in my business, but to work on my business. But it's a huge mindset hack. Like, even yesterday I was grocery shopping and I was looking kind of fresh. And the lady at in the seafood market who was cutting up my salmon, she's like, "So girl, you looking fly. Like, did you just leave work, or like, did you already put in your time, or are you going in later?" I said, "I don't work on Mondays." She said, "Well, what? Oh, your job just is flexible like that?" I said, "I work for myself. Like, I don't work under the confinements and the parameters of what society has taught us." And we just had an amazing like conversation about that. But it's just like, there are no walls in entrepreneurship. And it's extremely uncomfortable for the vast majority of us, because we literally were raised and grew up in a box society. So like, you see what being your own business owner and growing your own business, one thing that you guys have got to continuously realize is that like, there is no bar anymore. You create the bar, you create the standard. There is no box. And people will say, "Well, I feel like I'm not normal. I feel like I'm operating below average." Like, you are in the 1%. You are doing the thing that most people will never do. Like, and the fact that if you've been in business for longer than 18 months, you've already beat the odds. Most people fail within the first 18 months in business. If you're making more than $44,000 a year in your business, you're already going above what the average is for small business owners in the United States. Small business owners on average make $44,000 a year. If you're a minority female-owned business, however, the average income is $22,000 a year. If you're making more than that a year, you're already going above the norm. So you have to understand that like, many of us are still trying to compare ourselves to society's norms when we don't even fit that mold. Like, you're trying to compare the scores of what you're earning points in football compared to like a baseball roster. Like, you're not in the same game anymore. Like, so you're making sure that like, you guys, a lot of us are comparing ourselves against a rubric or against a scorecard in a game that we're not even playing. So entrepreneurs, we see the things that others do not see. Think about any great thing that's been invented. Somebody saw something that currently did not exist in our society, that did not exist in what we knew as like the norm and the reality, and like brought forth to life something that many of us could not conceptualize. That's what you're doing. You're testing new ideas. You're seizing new territory. You're taking risks. This requires courage and thick skin and the ability to keep going despite rejection and skepticism. But like, it doesn't exist anymore. Okay. Like, you guys are literally creating your own norms, but a lot of us struggle with that because we have not been trained to be like critical thinkers. We have not been trained to like really like be able to think on our own, make decisions on our own, and be okay with the uncertainty and not knowing all of the things when we make that decision. So like if you guys are evaluating whether it's like to hire a coach or to join a mastermind, like most people are looking for somebody else to tell them like, this is what you have to go do, versus like you being able to analyze, what do I currently need in my business right now? Where are my gaps? Where are my weaknesses? And will this said thing that I'm about to buy help me fill my gap so I can move the ball forward? And you being able to critically analyze that. And this is why if you ask anybody in my programs, especially in my accelerator program or in Elite, it's not like I don't just teach you business strategy or give you some cookie cutter solution, meaning that you have to go implement this the way I do it and build another business like Jereshia Hawk, my business. That's not what it's about. I am so intentional on making sure that I am asking you questions so you can learn how to think more critically and think more like a CEO. So I'm not only teaching strategy, but I'm like really trying to help you strengthen that entrepreneurial mindset muscle and help you start to grow as a CEO. Okay. I think the other one that I want to I think those are probably the three biggest ones that I see all the time, but the deadliest business trap ever is those who are not able to evolve beyond the employee mindset, to adapt and adjust into what it truly means to be an entrepreneur, and being able to even recognize if you're at that self-employed state where you're employing yourself, you're able to provide a service that people are willing to pay for, but you've really created a glorified second job for yourself, where you're burning yourself out, working a crazy amount of hours, having influxes in your income, going through feast and famine. It's time for you to adjust into the entrepreneurial role. And really, how do you start hiring, building out your team, working with people who are smarter than you, better than you in certain areas so you can strengthen and grow and not stunt your own growth because of lack of money mindset, because of money fears, because of procrastination. Like you're working hard but getting poor results because of lack of focus, because of no planning, not thinking both short and long term, not developing your self-confidence to be able to make and strengthening your courage belt so you're able to make more of those uncomfortable decisions with uncertainty and lack of information sometimes. So I hope this was helpful. I think, again, how do you really avoid this is one, being self-aware that it will always come up. This is something that is going to continuously come up because we are operating in a society that this is not the norm of what we're doing. So even though, and this is why I think having community is like a non-negotiable for me, it's a non-negotiable in my business. Being in community, being in mastermind groups, being in coaching programs is because most of the people that I interface with on a day-to-day basis, like some of them are entrepreneurs and they get it, most of them aren't. And I'm operating in a world where this is not the norm, where my lifestyle is not the norm, where my available to have freedom of both time, in the sense I'm able to create my own schedule, but freedom of finances where I'm able to dictate my income. This is not normal. So when you go out into the world and you start sharing your ideas and projecting your visions and you start moving and operating with a different type of swag, it throws people off. People are looking at you like, what? Hold up. You can't do that. You can't earn that. Who are you to make that? And that will, as that penetrates your energy, that can really damage your process and damage your progress. So it's so important that you're having people pour into you who are like-minded, who understand where you're going, and who help you stretch beyond what you currently know as reality to make sure that you're staying maintained and focused and balanced in what you know you've been called to do, even though it doesn't fit the norm of what everybody else is doing. And again, for those, again, this is really, really, really the value of what Goal Getter Elite is. And I think being in any mastermind group, mentorship program, coaching program is that is a non-negotiable. It is a non-negotiable because we are literally unicorns in the universe, y'all. Everybody ain't rolling, riding, and running the way that we are. And a lot of the time, our lack of community and our lack of being able to work through those mindset barriers is the thing that paralyzes us, stops us, and actually kills the business idea because of our own ego and our own inability to have self-awareness to actually give ourselves what we need and to grow beyond where we currently are. So I hope this was helpful. Feel free to share any insights, aha moments that you guys had in the comments. Any additional questions that you guys have, pop it in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer them. Some things that are going on right now, again, Goal Getter Elite, we start next Wednesday. And we I've already got some amazing women enrolled in the program. I know a lot of you guys looked at the application and did not hit submit. So I just want you guys to have the opportunity, if you're still thinking about it and on the edge and you want to submit your application, do so like immediately, so we can schedule an enrollment call before next Wednesday before the program gets started. And again, thank you guys for joining in live for the 8th episode of the Jereshia Shed Show. I'm live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. You can receive a Facebook Messenger bot reminder if you would like one. And you can also check the events link on my page to see what the upcoming episodes are going to be all about. Next week, we're going to be talking about Black women are leaning in and getting nowhere, and really talking about more of the racial dynamics of what is going on from an entrepreneurial standpoint and from a career standpoint, but specifically discussing minority women in business and minority women in entrepreneurship. So that's going to be a good one. So feel free to join me next week for that. And again, if you guys have any questions, comments, pop it in the comments, shoot me a message. And again, applications for Goal Getter Elite, definitely get those in if you've been kind of dragging your feet on that, because we get started next week, next Wednesday. So I will talk with you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.